Hello, I am Chris Plays Riffs. I've played in metal, rock, country, blues bands. Hell, I've even played in the occasional orchestra over the last 20 years. And these are my opinions on a few things. Today we're going to be talking about 5 things I've enjoyed about playing with bands and 5 things I've disliked about playing with bands or other members, other people. So then, in no particular order, these are just things I been thinking about making a video about for a while. And today's the day we do it. So let's start with the nice ones first, right? Let's do 5 things that I've enjoyed about playing with other bands and other people. Number 5, learning from other musicians. So the first one is you learn a lot from playing with other people because they come from other styles, other influences, and so you might learn new ideas, different chord progressions you never thought to pair together, or just different techniques or how they use them and stuff like that. It can be really eye-opening. I think that's really cool, and that's one of those unique benefits you only get from working with other musicians. You can study it, but it's better to see stuff up close and deal with other people. Interpersonally, you really just learn a lot that way. Number 4, making friends and networking. So the next one is networking and making friends. Some of the best people I know I've met through jams. You can meet some really interesting people that way, for better or worse. But I've met a lot of really cool people through music as well. And I strongly recommend that, both for personal friendship as well as professional networking. You never know who you're going to meet that way and what you guys can do together collaboratively. Which gets me into my next point. Number 3, collaborative songwriting. Collaborative songwriting. It can be a little bit weird at first if you've never done it. It's a bit standoffish, but learning to work with others can really make cool music. Like I said earlier, people have different influences and different styles. So if we can work together, you can create more interesting things a lot of the time than if you're the sole writer and you're doing everything every step of the way. Pros and cons to doing it that way as well that I'm going to talk about later. Number 2, many hands make light work. Alright, so then the next one, and this is kind of a theoretical one, is many hands make light work, as the saying goes. What we mean by that is if you have a lot of people in your band, like 4 or 5 people. I've even played in bands as big as 9, like this one band. I play in a Latin rock band where there's like 9 people because there's a horn section and then there's a keyboard player. And anyway, theoretically, if you have that many people and you're all working towards the same goal, it's a lot easier than doing it on your own. Like, if one person does like social media stuff and one person finds gigs and other people are in charge of handling recording or scheduling, practices, etc., however you want to divide the labor. But it is a lot easier doing it that way than if, say, you're a sole artist or like the band leader that has to do everything on their own. That can be a very frustrating experience. Number 1, it's just fun. So then lastly, I think I talked about all the first ones. We talked about making friends. We talked about learning from each other. We talked about collaborative songwriting. We talked about many hands make light work. The last one is it's just plain fun to jam with people when you start harmonizing with others and having fun with each other. It's a bit of an indescribable feeling to create with other musicians, and I think that's something that every player of every instrument should get a chance to feel and experience at some point. So those are my 5 reasons you should play in bands, and they're unique things that you can only get from working with other musicians, be it duets, big bands, whatever. It depends on the music and what you're comfortable doing, right? I can't tell you how to do those things. Now then, the meat and potatoes of this video, and this was more the reason I wanted to make it, but I didn't want to seem like a grouch, so I wanted to include some optimism. But the 5 things that really frustrate me about working with other musicians and have led to me doing most of my own work myself here in Holland Studios, where I just do, like, I record my bass lines, I record my guitar lines, Sometimes I outsource for drums and singers, but I try to handle as much in-house as possible, because now that I'm getting to be not a young man anymore, I'm getting frustrated with spending time with musicians that don't respect my time. And this is 5 ways or 5 things that I've noticed that start to really frustrate me. And I know other musicians watching this are going to groan and agree with me on some of these. Maybe not all. Some of these might piss some people off as well, but I'm okay with it. gotta do that sometimes. I hope everyone gets along, but not everyone's going to agree with me on everything. So anyway, the first one, number 5, trying to set up practices. And again, these are in no particular order. I tried to rank them a little bit, but it's not really that kind of thing. They're just, as I thought of them, I wrote them down. So the first one is how hard it is to schedule practices and stick to goals. In a band of, let's say, 4 or 5 people, 2 guitarists, bass player, singer, drummer, something like that, you've got 5 odd people. Maybe the singer also plays guitar or something, but 4 or 5 is the average number, I'd say, for the run-of-the-mill rock band or metal band. And at any given moment, 1 or 2 people will be able to practice, and the other 2 people won't be able to. They'll have work, they'll have obligations, kids, girlfriends, whatever it is that they do. And it'll be so difficult to try and book a weekly practice, let alone several in a week if you have an important show coming up or something. That just, it's such a tedious process. And usually it falls to one guy that kind of ends up being either self-elected, or everyone just starts looking at him as the band leader to start having to be like, well, how does Thursday feel, guys? And everyone just, yes, no, yes, no. Okay, what about Saturday? Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. You know what I mean? And it's just, at best, you're going to get 3 people there out of 4, and it becomes such a headache. So that's my first thing that really drives me nuts about working with other bands, that I immediately, when I work on my own, don't have to deal with, because I can just punch in here and get to work. Simple as that. Number 4, being too drunk or high to play. So then the next one, and this one's a bit generational. I don't see this one as much kind of north of 2015, I would say. And that is the kind of drug addict musician, the guy that's too drunk or too high to play properly, just sees band practice as one big party. I think we've all known a few of these guys, maybe especially if you're an older musician, you know some of these guys, that brings along with his drum kit, also has like a 24 of Budweiser with him or something, or I don't mean to pick on drummers, it's just I've known a lot of drummers like this. The drummer that tries to play well on mushrooms, etc., etc. Like I said, this one isn't as common north of 2015. That's when people started using the term straight edge a lot more, and I'm okay with that. Let's not be doing drugs and screwing up our practices. We can have fun and have a beer or 2, but let's not get trashed. And if you're the kind of person that needs to do that, and that's more the goal, like you're really just playing as a vehicle to get beer money kind of thing, it's not going to work out. And I get very exhausted trying to work with those guys. So I'm glad that has sort of fallen out of trend. And good on the younger generations for not being as into that stuff. Number 3, AI anything. All right, so then number 3 is AI anything. And this is kind of the controversial one, because I know a lot of people love their AI these days. I hate it. If you come to me with AI art or AI lyrics or AI anything, I'm going to probably immediately lose some respect for you. It's going to be kind of difficult to take your idea seriously. We're definitely not going to go ahead with it. And I've had that be the end of certain relationships with certain players that insist on it. I cannot do AI lyrics or AI artwork. That is what graphic designers, that is what songwriters are for. And I think it is... We'll do a whole video on AI another time. I'm not gonna get too bogged down on that now, because I don't want to split the room any more than I already have. So that's just my number 3 is AI anything. Number 2, being chronically late. And number one and number two are kind of tied together. Number two is when people are chronically late. If I had a nickel for every singer, drummer, bass player, whoever, they've all done it really, I shouldn't pick on any instrument, that shows up chronically late, and I don't mean 5-10 minutes late, I mean half hour, 40, an hour late. And there's always one guy. In any group of 4 or 5, there's always one guy that's like 20 minutes minimum late. And it's not like it's one time they had an emergency. It's like every practice they're late. That's why I say chronically, because it's all the time. Every practice, or at least 3 out of 4 kind of thing, they're late. And it's by a lot. It's not by 5-10 minutes. It's so disrespectful to everyone else that does show up on time, and now we just have to sit around being like, oh, when's Buddy gonna show up so we can get started? Or you try to like half-ass your way through songs, but it doesn't work because your drummer's not there or your singer's not there, so it just kind of like, and you're doing it sort of reluctantly, you're grumpy about it, and that's not a fun practice for anyone either. So let's do better and let's be on time, please, people. And that one is super relevant still. That's not a generational one like the drugs one was. That's still very much relevant. Number 1, not practicing. And then lastly, which kind of ties in, number 1 is not practicing. I can't stand the phrase, how does this one go again? And I've heard it a million times in every different genre. There's always one guy that shows up to practice that it's like they didn't even look at the material from week to week. They don't know the names of the songs, let alone the chords or how they change or what's going on or any of that. They're just totally lost in the weeds. How does this song go? I had this one happen. I won't name any names. There was a guy that came to me with a song, and I learned it for him. It was his song that he wrote. I learned the guitar parts to go along with him, and I helped him record it, yada yada. We're practicing it one day, and he's like, how does it start? And I'm like, bro, this is your song, and you're asking me how your song starts? It just, again, much like the lateness, it's super disrespectful to everyone else in the room that took the time throughout the week to practice the songs so that we could play them together cohesively and work as, like, you should be thinking of it more as a rehearsal than a practice. You practice during the week for the rehearsal. You know what I mean? Like, we should be practicing. You don't have to put in like 6 hours a day. I don't think. That kind of depends on the project. If it's really hard songs, you might need to work harder. But usually, if you just run the set every other day or something, that's usually pretty good. And the average set's like a half hour, 40 minutes. So you can't find like a half hour every other day to run through your songs just to make sure you still remember how they go, where the changes are. Maybe there's this little tricky bit at the end of the second chorus of this one song or something, and it's important that you check in every so often to make sure you're still hitting those changes. That kind of stuff, right? Just having some respect for the craft. It's otherwise now we got to sit there because like band practice, you get what, 2-3 hours? And now we got to sit here and watch you like relearn your own songs so that we can play it together as a group, and we're all just kind of sitting here like it's a waste of 4 people's time so that one guy can get his act together, which he should have done throughout the week. So that's my number one gripe, as you can probably tell. I got a little animated there. So again, our 5 that I like about playing with musicians are: you get collaborative songwriting, you learn from other people, you make friends, it's just plain fun, and many hands make light work in theory, because there's usually a band leader that gets stuck with most of it. And then the 5 things that I dislike are being late, not practicing, AI anything, being too drunk or high to play, and how hard it is to set practices and stick to goals. That's that stuff can really bum me out sometimes. So if you find you fit into any one of those, see if you can be a little bit better at your next band practice. I'm sure the other players will appreciate it, unless it's the good stuff that you find you do. And you're like, I do practice, and I do show up on time and stuff, in which case you're a great guy, great woman, great person. And I think that's awesome. And keep doing those things, because we need more sober, awesome, punctual players that don't kneel to AI. All right, then. Thanks for listening to my chat for a little bit there. Have a great rest of your day or evening, and we'll talk again soon. Bye, guys.